The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences only, so don't tell your parents! Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Alright, everybody, welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast for this week. I'm your host, JD, and we've got a full house of friends today. So joining us, first and foremost, my dear and lovely wife, Melanie, is here.
Hello.
Hello, wife.
Hello, husband.
She's actually in the room with me.
I'm right next to you.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Also joining us is Matt.
Your new best friend. Your new best friend. Your new best friend. Oh, my name's not Matt anymore. It's Greg Universe.
Okay, sure. Adam's back too.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Adam.
And joining us for the first time, Aiden is here.
Hey, what's up?
That's
Hi,
going
Aiden.
on, man. So yeah, we got a full house here to talk about the Steven Universe movie.
Woo! I can't believe it's
Much to
real.
talk about.
Yeah, but
It's
before we get
real.
started here, listeners, I just want to remind you that we if you do like this show, we do have a Facebook and a Twitter that you can go follow us on. And we also have a Discord if you'd like to just, shoot the shit with all of us. And hey, if you want to, choose future episodes for us to do, we have a Patreon that you could totally go subscribe to and tell me shows that you want to do, because we're going to be doing one of those, I think, next week. So there's that. If you are interested in any of that, there are links in the description of this video to go do that. So please do.
Send them more money
also
and they'll send
spoiler
you more
warning.
stuff.
Yes. What Melanie said, we're going to talk full spoilers for the Steven Universe movie. So if you are one of those people who hasn't seen it yet, granted, it came out like yesterday when we're recording this. So also, yes, sorry for this episode being late this week, because we usually put these out on Monday and the movie came out on Monday. So, we do what we can. But yeah, so let's talk about the Steven Universe movie.
So what should we like just
Yeah, what do you start talking
should we
about?
should we like just jump into like what the movie's about, or should we like explain
So,
just like a brief recap of what happened before, or what?
Yeah, that sounds like a
complete
good idea.
recap is Pink Diamond is a bitch.
Yeah.
But, yes, Pink Diamond is the true villain of Steven Universe.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
It's a little
Literally,
hard.
she caused
It's a little
every
hard.
issue.
She made some mistakes. She wasn't perfect.
She
but
literally
she had
caused a war that killed
Like two
thousands
wars,
of
yeah.
gems
She
and
had good
ruined
intentions.
Homeworld
Died.
forever.
They were just corrupted, and then they were brought
Yeah.
back.
But
A lot of them died.
I think what we're neglecting to mention here is her worst crime is totally ghosting apparently her best friend and just peacing out.
Oh yeah, almost
Yeah.
destroying the world in the process. But
Yeah, she
that's
ghosted that bitch.
a little less
Yeah.
than her, I guess. But
Yeah. But yeah, recapping the movie just real quick here. It's a time jump from the last episode of Steven Universe, which we did a review on back in January. So go listen to that if you'd like. Matt was there.
Yeah, I
Um,
basically just talked about the special, like, beat for beat, the whole story for about an hour.
It was
So
lovely.
you can either listen to me talk about it, or you can just go watch the episode. The latter.
So yeah, it's I think it's 2 years in the future.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Steven has been going around helping out all the work affected by the
The Diamond.
Diamond Authority and all that, and everything is lovely and it's perfect, and nothing.
business is there finally, actually being able to do stuff.
Yeah,
Everyone gets to do stuff in this movie.
Everyone is here.
Yeah.
Everyone
Except
is-
for Jasper.
except for
Everyone
Jasper.
but
Oh, that's true. Actually,
Yeah,
everyone
people
but
were
Jasper.
And
mad
no
that Jasper wasn't in it.
And I was about to say Topaz, but if you look in like in the bit where Steven's giving his message to all the gems, you can see at least one Topaz in there.
Yeah.
That's
So
not
even
that-
Topaz showed up, but there's no Jasper.
Yeah, well,
Right.
that might not be the Topaz that we've seen either. There's
I
plenty
Yeah,
know,
of
that's
but
what
I'm
I'm
trying
saying,
to.
because I thought I saw some aquamarine too, or whatever. Anyway,
I didn't see an aquamarine back there, but
Right.
I thought it
there was
said
a lot of them. there was a lot of them, so I may have missed one.
Yeah, there's a lot of little cameos. Yeah, there's a lot of cameos in the back. But the happily ever after is broken up when this rubber hose XJ9 shows up.
AKA,
It's your new best friend.
The best character in the movie.
Your new best friend,
Like,
Spinel.
I'm not gonna lie, I found her really annoying.
No, she was precious.
She's adorable.
I understand like why people love her, but she's kind of annoying in my opinion. Like she's
I think
like
that's
that weird.
kind of
She's
her
like that
point,
weird,
too.
clingy, just really like
weird
a
clingy
lot.
friend that that everyone had at one point. I'm sure.
Just like all random, just like chill.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was kind of the point of her too. And that's why I think Pink kind of shunned her because she was kind of outgrowing her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. You know, she's just like one of them, one of the Toy Story toys. You know?
Yeah, it was like the whole
basically Jessie.
Yeah.
She's basically just Jessie, but if Jessie turned evil.
she went full Lotso.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of hinted at her like really clinginess though, because even when she reverted back to her normalness and Steven was like, "You wait here," she's like, "No!"
She had a little bit of the outburst.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of like a lot.
She's always kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Probably just some
I'm
sort
not
of
saying what
repressed
Pink
memory.
Diamond did was right. I'm just saying
Pink Diamond's all bitch.
she's kind of annoying. So
the things that Spinel did, she was justified for sure.
no, yeah, totally.
Maybe
might have got
not
a little
eradicating an
overboard.
entire
I was
planet
gonna
justified,
say.
but
To be fair, they did say 6,000 years wasn't too long.
Oh, yellow
I don't know
diamonds.
how long that is.
No.
Maybe it's like 6
Maybe-
years for a diamond.
Maybe it's like 5, 3. Who knows?
I was trying to remember how long was Lapis trapped in the mirror for.
Yeah, a while since the war. So yeah, 6,000 years.
6,000 years, I want to
Yeah.
say.
I think that's just the baseline for how long anything takes in the show. It's 6,000 years.
I guess.
Okay, so like if that war was 6,000, if that whew.
It's basically
so, like,
similar
Rose
to
Pink Diamond has been fucking shit up for 6,000 years. So like,
6,000 BS. That's before Steven.
oh my god, that's hilarious.
the 6,000 years is basically equivalent to like the Rugrats grandpa when he's talking about how it took him 15 miles to get everywhere. 15 miles to the next colony.
So Spinel comes to Earth and she's all pissed and immediately just attacks everybody. And at this point, we have no idea who she is or what she is.
And she pulls out this giant scythe weapon that.
The Rejuvenator.
Yeah.
This is okay. I just want to get into this now because this is my biggest gripe with this movie.
Where did she get him?
No,
Well,
I don't
do
care
that.
where she got the big injector thing for the planet's gonna kill all mankind.
Yeah, where'd you get the scythe?
I don't like the reset scythe. I don't like that 90% of this movie is we have to recreate beats from the entire show because everyone's been reset to season 1 mode.
Like at this point, I feel like people watching the movie are pretty committed to the show, so they probably know everything already.
That is probably the one biggest flaw I have with the film is that like it spends too much time going back to stuff we've already known or going back and redoing things when by this point it's the epilogue. Why would we bother going back when we can just go? I don't know.
Had
It was
it
really
with Pearl's depression over Pink Diamond. Like I'm done. Like we finished.
She's gotten over it.
Like she was over it, and I'm like, all right, you have to reduce this. Like she was over it, and now you got to re-traumatize her. Like, that's fucked up. Like, and then I was actually really hoping that they would talk about Amethyst more because they never actually went into when Rose Quartz found her and like.
We did get to see a bit more than we have in the past, though. Like that was the first time we ever saw her
really
actually emerge in her design.
Yeah,
that's the first time we ever saw like what she looked like when she emerged.
Yeah,
which is
show
nice.
like the weird like segmented parts and stuff. It
so
looked
I was
really
really hoping that she'd like regain her memories and they would show flashbacks of like Rose and Pearl and them like finding her. But we didn't get any of that.
No. I think the reason why I did like that this is the approach that the story went with about them sort of recreating the bits that made the gems who they were is because with Steven sort of involving himself in finding who they were again, it kind of just proves that there's always the potential there even without Rose specifically. Like I feel like that was kind of like what they were going for. Like they always had this sort of potential to become like who they were always meant to be, like even
I see
without
what you're
Rose's
saying.
you know what I mean?
Need
Because
Rose.
because there's all this like
That's true.
because like everyone's quick to throw the blame on like Pink Diamond and Rose for all the stuff they did, but it's like, and then there's all this proof and evidence that goes like, she did plenty of good, but also that stuff could have happened without her as well.
Well, but
she's
like
been the catalyst for a lot of it.
Garnet would have fused regardless because Garnet fused without Rose Quartz.
Well, she fused as the result of Rose Quartz's attack.
True.
But that's the thing too. That was another like inverse thing that happened where instead of Ruby saving Sapphire, like Sapphire saved Ruby, and like that was a cool like little take on that. The stuff with Pearl where like she was locked to Greg. Which is hilarious because if you've been watching since the beginning of the show, the relationship, like how it's progressed, and like it's just funny to kind of see it like take on that approach. Like
I had like the
Matt, I believe you mean Greg Universe.
Yes, Greg Universe.
Apparently his official name is Steg.
Steg.
Oh, that's the fusion.
I feel guilty for finding him sexually attractive.
Dude, I find him hot.
He's a beefcake with a pompadour.
He is right out of JoJo.
Absolute hunk, dude.
Yeah, he's a hunk. And I feel bad because I know the fusion is of a child and
his dad,
old ass man. And I'm like, you're confusing me here.
I love when that happened. Your first question is, why does he have a six-pack?
Yeah, because they're both.
You know what? I was kind of wondering that too. Then somebody pointed out that kind of Steven's like mental image of who his dad is.
Yeah, they showed like a picture.
The
from,
guitar dad.
Guitar dad.
So like that's how Steven's mental image kind of projected itself into the fusion. That's why he looks so fucking awesome. And like that's cool.
I didn't even think about that. That's really cool.
I saw that on Tumblr. Someone did that, and I was like, oh, because I always like to get on Tumblr after I watch something like intense.
I usually right after watching Steven Universe, I'll go on Tumblr, just look at the tag
people make
for all
so
the
many connections that I don't make.
Yeah.
But then Jamie noted how even the guitar fused.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the double neck. Yeah.
Dual neck guitar.
That was so rad.
I'll say this. This is the one character where a two neck guitar actually makes sense because they have four arms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I thought that scene was really prolonged though, like with the whole Pearl. I thought they really prolonged Pearls.
They really prolonged it.
Prolonged it.
Yeah.
I had a really fucking dumb moment when she was reset and she came out in like a seashell, and I was like, "The fuck? Why is she in a?"
It was a clam because that's where pearls come from.
Because
I thought that was honestly brilliant.
Yeah,
it was fun.
And then I was sitting on the toilet. I saw a pearl decoration with a clamshell.
Yeah, the revelation.
I was like, oh my god, I'm so stupid.
Okay, Dan.
I really like the fact that song is titled.
You watch Steven Universe for so long in the world where the gems are created by the diamonds. I forgot about actual science.
Right. What were you saying Adam, about the song?
Oh, I want to say, I really find it funny that the official title of this song on the soundtrack is labeled system/boot.pearlfinal3.info.
Oh, which is giving the explanation about all the gems. Yeah. No,
I wonder if that was like the actual like file name.
Also, like how this is like the third iteration of this file, and so it's like this has to have happened at least twice. Or actually, no, this has to happen at least 3 other times, because this would technically be the 4th?
They decided Pearl didn't suffer enough trauma.
Yeah.
For Pearl.
That's sad.
Going back to what JD said, though, I am a person that's right there. I usually don't like when like movies or TV shows, have an episode or movie where the characters are reset, sort of, everything's just gone from, sort of back to the beginning. But I do agree that I think in the long haul, this was the right choice to go with the movie, because it shows that what they said, even without Rose, like Steven is still able to jog their memories, and like basically they can still become who they're meant to be, which is what they've sort of go on.
I was just gonna say I just don't know if I wholly agree of like having to reset them to basically their beginning to tell that kind of story. I mean, even Paragon even makes a joke about it. It's like, oh, I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want to lose all my
character progression.
I did love that.
But that whole theme of like resetting them and having to regain their memories even kind of goes to the very end of this movie, where this movie to me feels like we did this thing and we have to reset it back to status quo, because at the end of the movie, again, we said we're talking spoilers here, Spinel goes off with the diamonds and she's just gone. And everyone's back to normal. So in the end, really, unless this has something to do with this supposed final season coming up, I want to know what the point of it all was. If it's just we're gonna reset everything back to exactly where we started. It was
to be an entertaining musical, JD.
I mean, to be fair, everything did go back to being where it was before this movie started.
But you could say that about any like TV show movie. Like,
and I don't like when they do that.
Like the first movie when kisses him, and then at the end they're just like, oh, I was just overcome by stress.
And I don't like that.
Like shit like that. Where
if you're gonna make a movie and make this big grand adventure, have it mean something.
Or at the very least, you can make it a really entertaining musical, which it really was.
I really thought it was a great movie. Especially, like, I didn't know what to expect. Honestly, I was just expecting some TV movie, like the first Hey Arnold movie.
Honestly,
it was way better than I thought.
Honestly, this kind of made me realize that, like, TV movies are kind of back in a weird way. Because, like, we've had... Because almost in the span of, like...
Services.
We just had the Zim movie. Of like nearly less than a month, we had Static Cling, we had Invader Zim Enter the Florpus, and now we have this. It's like, it feels like TV movies are starting to be back again, and part of me is really excited, but I don't know how long it's gonna last. I think this might be the last one.
I think we just love to do a very
you can't really compare this Steven Universe movie with like the Rocco and Invader Zim, because those are like super old shows.
Well, yeah, because Rocco and Zim are more like a nostalgia thing, and Steven, I think Steven made sense for where it is now, because we had like this big wrap up at the end of the last season, which honestly, I still maintain that if Steven Universe would have just ended when the last season ended, this movie didn't exist, I'd be perfectly happy, because
it was a perfectly fine finale for what it was.
I know. I feel like if it would have ended that way, I would have been like, that was a great show.
For what it's worth, this is just an epilogue story.
And that's the other thing. Is like, if this wanted to be like an epilogue, great, that's fine. And the fact that they restore status quo at the end, great. Okay, that's the official end. But the fact there's going to be another season after this, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
it's time for Steven to meet God.
Yeah. I was about to say that because we were talking about that yesterday.
If we're talking anime, since Steven Universe is trying to be anime, we've gone to space. So now it's only inevitable that we go and fight God.
Gem Afterlife.
So I have a slight theory about what they could possibly do for season 6. I'm not sure if it holds any ground, but while I was watching it, I think that it's possible that season 6 could possibly take place a little bit before the movie, but still during the time skip.
So it would be like him going. It would show him going around fixing all the worlds and.
Yeah, I'd have that stuff.
That's what I would imagine it has to be.
That's kind of what I thought. But then when this movie came out,
there's like a mention of near the end that Spinel was sort of like one of Pink Diamond's like treasures, like one of her rare treasures or something. Mm-hmm. But also the fact that during the opening song, you can see once he goes into Lion's Mane. Oh, like this is probably just a tease, but yeah, the chest is just.
The chest is open. Yes. Oh, yes.
And there's just nothing.
Dude, I stared at it the whole time. I was like, what the fuck?
Chest is open.
Yeah.
Just gotta gloss over that, I guess.
I was pissed. Because there's even a whole scene where he has a giant key in that one episode and he goes in and tries to open the chest and it doesn't open. And then they never go back to it. And then, yes, they opened it in this movie. So maybe you're right. Maybe it is like an in-between season.
That
I didn't even
chest
think
is
about
like
that.
the biggest red herring in the entire series, though. It is
Seriously.
like purposeful bait to fans.
And we
They
just
will
know that
never show
whatever
it.
we just know that whatever is inside is just gonna make everyone hate Pink
It must
Diamond
just be like a
/ Rose
big
Quotes
pink
more.
dildo or something. Like,
You know what? I think I know what it is. It was his neck.
Oh my God. I gotta be honest.
has to
I
be.
fucking
That's where it
love the
came
video
from.
they put out before this
Talking
movie
about
came
his
out. Where
neck.
Rebecca's like, "I'm so glad we can talk about his neck now."
yeah, that's cute.
It's like, yeah, I love drawing Steven, but I kept having to not draw his neck.
Right.
Honestly, I'm so happy that he has a neck because it looks a lot more natural right now.
It does.
Well, I mean, I think they were just trying to go for a cute chibi effect,
Yeah.
Well, I think it's even just like as a design choice really can communicates that he's aged. Just because when he's a little squat little no neck dude, he looks more younger.
He looks more like a kid.
Yeah, exactly. But now his neck, he has a neck. He's taller.
Now he's a young man.
He's a young man.
He's a
I
young
feel like
adult.
that when the show first started, it was way more detailed and like Rebecca's Sugar style, and then as it went on, it like everyone got like squashed. Like
That's
Yeah.
kind of what happened because like
That's what
as
happens during any show, really. That people just get really comfortable in what they're doing, and they kind of get a
I
little
guess.
bit more loose with it.
But I want
we were
to
rewatching the wedding episode, and like Steven and Amethyst are like the exact same tiny size, and like Sadie's a freaking
I mean,
midget.
They've never really been
Thank you.
concerned with like remaining canon heights or anything in this show. I mean, yeah, it constantly flux, but I mean that's just kind of goes to the Crewniverse's credit. Like they're not really strict about that sort of thing, so they let people sort of individual art.
I can't remember. I think Ian was the one who said it. I might be wrong, but it's like no one on the show has a defined height. They just have defined heights in relation to one another.
Yeah, but even then, they kind of don't pay attention to that either.
Yeah.
no, like because that's kind of always been the one thing I never liked about Steven Universe visually is that like because of how inconsistent character heights are, at least it like because they're only in relation to one another, you end up with a lot of scenes where like Steven is super tiny when before he was like relatively normal size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of
He like shrinks into like a baby.
he's like a baby Steven at some point.
No,
Yeah,
he
like-
literally is a baby
Like-
in an episode. He turns no, this is what I'm talking about. So this is how you explain all that away, is that they all shapeshift. So if there's a scene where somebody's not their exact
Steven
size,
doesn't.
they're just
So
shapeshifted.
So wait, Connie shapeshifts?
Sure, why not? They never
Well, like if you watch clips from like the first season, he's like taller than the like shelf in his house, and then there's other episodes where he has to get like a step stool, like to get onto his shelf, and I'm like, what? Bothers me.
Yeah.
I will
I
say
don't
though,
see why it would like bother people. Like I don't know, it just never was a thing that really bothered me.
in all
But, like-
seriousness, it never bothered me either. I just love pointing it out because it's such a weird design choice that I just find it kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
Speaking of design choices, can I just say this movie looked really, really nice. I know it was
really
mostly
did.
the Crewniverse style,
Really
but like
smooth.
it felt a lot more consistent. Like that
I
problem we were
agree.
mentioning earlier, it didn't really feel like that was there with this movie. It felt a lot more consistent overall.
They were on their A game because it's their movie. It's their one that they're gonna get. So they're definitely well. And also the general animation is really good, but two sequences in the movie are like spectacular animation. Which is the first bit where Spinel gets introduced. Like,
Oh my god, the
And then-
Sakuga with Spinel is phenomenal.
and then that bit near the end, the final fight with Steven and
I
Spinel was
honestly
animated
think
very well too.
anytime they're showing off Spinel's like stretching powers, I think it's
Yeah,
like really,
it's really
well choreographed because like the
smooth.
camera's always whipping around, following
Yeah.
her, and like
That-
the way
that
she's able
whole
to like
bit-
snake around things.
That whole bit during the song "Other Friends," where she's like messing with the other crystal gems, and she's all bobbing and whatnot. I was like, "Oh my god, that's
Yeah.
so good."
No,
I,
it's super
I do like that because she's so very much like a rubber hose, like 1930s. Like she could walk right out of Cuphead and be fun, and no one would bat
Yeah,
an
can we,
eye.
like, talk
She's
about
basically a
that for hot
Cuphead
minute?
boss.
Well,
Yeah.
what I wanted to say is that like I love that because I may have said this on the show before. I'm not a huge fan of musicals, like in general. But I did like that Spinel's opening number is a ragtime song.
You know
Oh
what
my-
it really reminded me of was
Era.
has anyone ever listened to Caravan Palace? 'Cause
Yes,
that's
it
what it
was
reminded me
absolutely like I was about to just get up and start swing dancing because it is the very same vibe. It is
of. It's
such
got the
a
same
groove.
beat. Yeah,
It is
it's
a
really
bop.
good.
The song is a total bop.
Yeah.
Mel, you said you had something you wanted to say.
I am interested in the stylistic choice of her with. I mean, the rest of the characters are very anime, cutesy, but detailed in their, and she's just so off character design. Not that I'm saying it's a bad thing. I'm just curious as to why the Crewniverse chose that. There's scenes where she's just literally Mickey Mouse.
Well, dude, when she regresses, her hair, her hair ponytails operate like Mickey Mouse ears, where
the shapes on her face, it's just literally Mickey Mouse. And I'm curious, obviously that was on purpose. There's a reason they did that. Is there
because they knew that they're going to have a spectacular animation budget. So they're okay, well, we got to design a gem that's going to use up all of the animation budget.
Yeah. I just absolutely love that Spinel's just big tribute and send up to just classic Fleischer and Disney animation. Those animators had a fantastic field day with everything that they did.
And I think it's fitting too that she's such a homage to Mickey Mouse, especially because this movie honestly feels kind of like a Disney movie with the musical aspect and whatnot.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I can see that.
Especially from the opening where it has the opening credits.
Oh, the storybook.
God, yeah, the opening credit.
I was saying that we were watching this, wait a minute, why are they putting all the credits up front, and then as soon as they show the story, we're like, because all the Disney movies used to just throw the credits up front.
I mean, maybe it just is an homage to old school Disney, but I don't know. I just,
I definitely get your point where it's she's so different from any other character that's been established in the show because she's so goofy and kind of like we said, she's like an old cartoon, and she's able to, even her movement is different from any other character we've seen on the show. So I definitely get where you're coming from, where she just seems a little off
put. She just and I'm not saying the animation for her is stunning, and I think her character story and everything is stunning. That all fits in with the universe. I'm just saying her wackiness just feels kind of out of place with the rest of the Steven Universe show that's had this very underlining, deep psychological aspects to it. And all the characters are detailed and more, I guess, humanesque.
They're grounded.
It's hard.
A little
yeah,
more.
it's hard to explain.
I would say that, but I think the show has established before that the powers Spinel has aren't really exclusive to her. The limb stretching has been shown in multiple episodes. Same with, of course, the shape-shifting and everything else. Mm-hmm. I don't really think it's actually that big of a stretch to have this character in there.
That big of a stretch?
I hate myself.
You know what, though? I think they do kind of explain it a little bit, because they... Pearl, when they're going through that song where they're kind of describing all the gems after they get reset, Pearl does describe Spinel as having a perfect cut, and it's sort of in the same way that Jasper was a perfectly formed quartz soldier, and she was just really good at what she did. I'm assuming that this Spinel is kind of the cream of the crop as far as the Spinels are concerned, so she was just also really good at what she does too. Which is
why we never see any other Spinels.
Yeah, so we don't really have a good reference, but I just mean that was some language that they used in there. She has a perfect cut, so I don't know. That's maybe something to think about. And she's pink.
She's pink.
Yeah.
I do want to say, probably, I know everyone's talking about a lot of the songs that they liked, and a lot of the songs that a lot of people like are definitely up there with me, most of the Spinel songs, but I think the duet between Steven and Amethyst is pretty underrated.
That's definitely underrated.
I agree. I completely. Honestly, that whole bit with Steven and Amethyst, it kind of made sense to me that Amethyst would be the first to regain her memory. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I always thought that Steven and Amethyst, their whole relationship felt less like a mother and son, Garnet
brother
and Pearl,
sister,
and more like brother and sister.
Yeah,
they're very more siblings.
Totally.
I've always loved seeing that. In fact, that was that the first fusion that Steve had with one of the main
Smoky Quartz.
it was their friendship that like bonded to reach that level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Well, and there's that one episode where she's like, they talk about how like she acts goofy all the time because Steven's always getting emotional. And so she purposely said that she acts like silly and laid back because she doesn't want to put more worries on him. And I think that's a very sibling-y thing to do.
Yeah, that's very much a sibling thing to do.
Yeah, like I feel like I've done that with my brother. Like, when mom and dad are fighting or something, you act goofy to distract them from, the drama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Like in the episode where Ruby and Sapphire split up and then they were searching for him and he was all concerned and she was all like goofing.
Hey, I'm a helicopter, Steven.
Yeah.
Which way to the baby war?
Oh my God.
That's a throwback.
Hey, Steven, I'm a helicopter.
God.
Freaking sweet.
Holy
Yeah.
crap, I'm a helicopter. We were talking about that earlier. I said, I was like, I don't understand the Diamonds' relationships to one another because like Blue and Yellow seem very intimate, but they're like scared of White, and Pink is like their baby, but like, are they all siblings? Like I never understood.
I always got the impression that White's sort of like the grandmother, and then like Yellow and Blue are sort of like Steven's aunts, kind of. They have like that vibe to them.
They're the catty ants.
They're all like very doting, sort of. Well, now they are.
Each other, like it just, I don't know. When we were rewatching the last episode, Blue and Yellow are very intimate with one another, and then Blue is really upset about Pink Diamond, almost like that's her child,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but so and I guess I was hoping the show would explain too. Is White Diamond? Did she make Blue and Yellow? Are they cut from her?
They haven't gone into that.
Because she said we were just watching the last episode, and she was saying how Blue and Yellow and Pink were all of the impurities in her that she made. And
oh, really?
We just rewatched it like 2 seconds ago, and there's a scene where she's all upset about Pink and how she's like, I can obviously live without you because you're just the worst part of me. You're my impurity.
The part that I try to repress. I remember that bit.
Oh, yeah.
I always kind of took what she was saying there as kind of like metaphorically. I'm not sure I never took that as like meaning like literally like cut from her, but I mean, maybe it could. I don't know.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I think the gems, I think all the other diamonds were parts of White. She's sort of the grandmother of all of them, so she's the one that created.
Because they're like super scared of her, and like she's like the big dictator. And so I guess I was hoping the show would explain a little bit more like where everything comes from.
And maybe that's what the last because I had another question when we were rewatching this a little bit ago. Because White's all like, I have to be perfect, I have to be better, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, says who?
Well, it's just her own standards she's placed for herself.
But it's like,
I mean, you know how that goes. You place standards for yourself.
I guess, but it's like
women do it all the time, where we have to be really skinny. Like
But
especially white women.
Jesus.
Oh, come on.
Another thing is in an interview, Rebecca Sugar was super subtle about how they eat, and she said something about how they feed on light. And so there's that episode where Steven's like, we're gonna starve, and Blue's like, oh, don't be silly. And Rebecca said she wasn't gonna go into it anymore because it was spoiler territory, but I feel like they never covered it.
You know what? There's a bit about them being like light starved that I remember. There's the bit where they throw Steven and Connie like in the tower and they just have the really high window. That was pretty interesting.
So they never went into that though, because she was saying how they were going to explain how the gems feed, but then they didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? They don't need to have an explanation.
That's probably not important.
That's fine. I mean, it'd be cool to know, but it's not overall. It's not really important to know.
Yeah,
that's one of those lore things. I think it's better if they just kind of leave it to interpretation.
Yeah, because really you don't want to pull like a Star Wars and like explain what the Force is, like with midichlorians and shit, because then like it just takes the magic out of it. Like just you can leave things alone and just sort of explain them as that is how it is because that's how it is, and just take it at face value. That's fine. fine.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes leave some mystery. Sometimes that's fine.
Yeah.
Another part of the movie, of course, with the whole recap thing again, was going over Garnet's fusion again, and I'm like, how much more? Because you have a book and you have the wedding.
They already paid Estelle, and they're gonna get her to sing. Damn it!
How much more do we have to see? Yes, you love each other.
And again, her song was really damn good. I don't know.
I feel like anytime they actually get like Garnet's voice actor to sing, it's like probably one of the better songs. Because like
I hate that.
That's because Estelle is amazing.
It's because Estelle's a fantastic singer.
That song drives me
nuts. No, it's not. I mean, yes, she's a good singer. I just think, and I'm probably gonna be alone on this. For the most part,
yeah.
I completely disagree with that.
JD cut out. Give it a second.
I don't think he's coming back.
I think my big gripe with musicals is I feel that in many cases, songs are there to fill time rather than advance the plot. And I like what someone will say in a 2-minute song could be summed up in like 2 lines of dialogue.
And I hate you for that.
I know you do.
Personally, for me, I really the thing I like about musicals is that a really good musical, you can get the whole story just in the music. But I do agree, especially in this movie, there's a couple of songs in here that like ultimately don't advance the plot. But I think, I don't know.
Yeah, well, and the other problem I have with some Steven Universe songs, they almost feel like they're too literal, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, a lot of their lyrics end up being a little too literal. And it kind of
like it almost feels like the songs aren't so much songs as they're just like singing dialogue, like make the dialogue rhyme and they're just singing through it because
JD, if you think that the lyrics in Steven Universe songs are literal, then I know you're not familiar with a lot of musicals, but there are musicals that are way more literal than what these can get.
Are.
I'm pretty sure you can probably think of at least one.
I was just noticing a lot in this movie.
Rebecca Sugar is just one person, you know.
I get it.
No, but she has a whole team of like people that are working with her on the music and stuff too. That's actually one thing that we should point out too, is that the main song from the movie, "It's the Truth," that was co-written with Chance the Rapper. Yeah, I thought that was really neat. I was wondering what song he worked on.
Yeah, they actually had like professional songwriters for this movie.
I think I might just like that song because the commercial, when I was at my dad's for that week, he has cable, you know, so I had Cartoon Network on in the back a lot. And Cartoon Network these days really only plays about 3 commercials now.
They were actually advertising Steven Universe?
Yeah.
What?
That's a shocker.
Dude.
And they were playing that commercial, and so it was just constant. True.
I think, yeah. You know, it's a shame that song is so good, yet nothing off of Chance's newest album is any good.
That's a little harsh.
There's I listen to an alternative station when I'm at work, and he has like a song where he like collaborated with Death Cab for Cutie, and it is a weird song.
No, it's cool.
Like it's a good, like I like it. It's got a good beat to it. It's just like weird. He references like the live action Aladdin and Lion King movies, and
I think I know exactly what song you're thinking of, man.
Yeah, but
I loved the song of Spinel telling her story from the garden.
I cried.
I cried, dude. I cried twice in the movie. I cried then, and then I cried at the part where she's like, "I just want to be your friend."
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking cried.
That song for me is the point of no return when this movie is just so completely fucked up, as well as just Pink Diamond's character. Like, I was talking about this with a couple of friends, but this series starts out basically applauding this character as like the best person ever, and by the end of the series, it turns into
Rose. Oh yeah.
Like even Steven is like, yeah, my mom would probably do that.
It just turns into, Steven, your mom was a goddamn bitch.
Well, there was always this underlying theme though of inadequacy and you know, and that like, yes, Pearl was obsessed with her and like, oh, she was this amazing war hero. And there was always this theory of like this underlying feeling of like stress and never being good enough. and guilt that he took rose quartz from them, and that was a theme throughout the entire series, which was like, in that last episode when his diamond comes out, and then it's
I was gonna say
him.
I was gonna say Pearl nearly killed Steven as a baby.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
But so I think the show's always kind of had this weird eerie quality to it, in regards to rose quartz.
Well, I think
I think what it's supposed to be, though, is it does make a difference, and the whole series, it sort of points to like, hey, the things that Rose Quartz did, were not good. She wasn't a good person for doing this and keeping secrets. But like in Bismuth, when he has to poof Bismuth again, like, and he tells her that, hey, I'm gonna tell everyone what happened here, and Bismuth says, you really are better than her. The whole thing is being better than how Pink was.
He has the ability to change.
But I think that's the difference, though, because like one, he was raised, with humans, and then there's that episode where, Greg, the flashback about Greg wanting to fuse with her, and he says something about like, do you even see me like as a person, and she's something like that, and she's like, I'm not a person, and she's like confused by that.
Yeah.
Like, and so I don't think. Part of me wonders, like, some of the stuff she did, I don't think it was necessarily out of, like
her intentions weren't altruistic.
Like, I don't think she meant to be a bitch. I think she
she had good intentions.
It
is one of those situations where she had good intentions. She had a good heart, but her heart's
in the right place, but
what happened as a result of her actions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was very self-indulgent.
Leave you in this garden for 6,000 years and never tell you about it. Sorry. I'm dead now.
Speaking of, where do we stand on the whole Adventure Time song theory here?
That's pretty freaky.
I thought that was really neat. Like,
the what theory?
Wow.
I wonder if it is actually confirmed. I would love for her to say something.
The episode they used that years ago.
I know. So I always before production, even I don't know if it's.
I think it's just Sugar style,
Someone? I'm lost on this theory. Can someone explain it real quick?
In Adventure Time, there's that song, "Everything Stays the Same." I can't remember what
it's
was a
from
part of the
Marceline miniseries.
Yeah,
and Marceline, her mother sings this song to her, and what's really cute about it is actually Marceline's mother was voiced by Rebecca Sugar. And Rebecca Sugar was already working on Steven Universe. She had left Adventure Time. She came back just to write that song. They said, hey, we need a song for Marceline's mom. And she was on it. And because Rebecca Sugar was Marceline's original character designer. And so you could say Rebecca Sugar was Marceline's mother in a sense. And so she sings this song called Everything Stays. And the lyrics are, let's go to the garden. You'll see something waiting. Right there where you left it, lying upside down. And people are like, holy shit, that's creepy.
That lines up perfectly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Lying upside down? Is that...
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so it's weird.
When you finally find it,
I think Rebecca's playing 5D chess with us right now.
No, she's got that galaxy brain shit going on.
And then the chorus of it says, everything stays right where you left it. Everything stays, but it still changes. And so...
Like, because Spinel was in that one... The thing is, she didn't move from that one spot. Like, she mossed into the ground.
Yes.
No, and you know what? We actually catch a glimpse of her right in the beginning of the movie.
Right at the beginning.
I was going to say that. They teased that right there.
I caught that. And
I
was
caught
like,
that my second time, and I was like, oh.
So this literally happened in like 10 minutes. In like 10 minutes... Spinel was like, I got this machine, I got this weapon, let's do it. Like, it was literally not that long.
You really have to wonder, where did she find this?
I mean,
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Well,
they just had shit lying around. The diamonds weren't doing anything with it. They declared peace. It was just lying around. She took it.
You know what? Fair.
Yellow Diamond does make a...
It was just lying in the garden.
She does make a comment to Steven. She's like, hey, I disbanded all my armies, we got rid of everything,
Yeah, so I'm sure there's some more shit just laying around.
walking.
Yeah, they're not gonna destroy it. They're just gonna like demilitarize.
But how did she like control it? How did she get it there? Like that's like diamond power level shit that she does. Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
My
thing, though,
I think it's
my
possible.
whole thing is she's literally like, I saw Steven project this message. It's been like an hour. He goes back to Earth and Connie's like, bye, I'm going to space camp. It hasn't even been like a full day. It's been like an hour. And it's like, boom. Like,
listen,
honestly,
there's going to be a lot of emotion.
Well, she's had 6,000 years to think about it.
Jesus.
Yeah. She's like, she sees her opportunity, she goes for it.
She's like,
actually, hey, come to think of it, did the entire movie happen in a day?
They talk about
2 days.
They talk about the injector taking like 40
it's like 40 hours.
Okay.
Well, no, because they
No, but
speed
it's
up the
legal.
acceleration of it too, so it's not as long as 40 hours. So
Oh,
definitely,
yeah, 'cause they speed
probably
it
about
up.
a day. Yeah, it's probably about a day, which is
Yeah.
funny because I think
That's a hell of a day that Steven had.
I think Spinel
Dude.
beat the record for because there's the comments that the new Crystal Gems
Yeah,
make earlier in the movie
okay,
about Peridot's like, oh, it took me months to stop trying to kill Steven, and Business like, it took me like a day and a half, and Lapis is like, I'm still on the fence.
I'm still on the fence.
oh, shut the fuck up, Lapis. You would die for him.
Oh, she's just
That's
being... Lapis is
being
snarky.
funny.
That's her personality now.
I know.
That's
I
the
love
real
her.
season 6 right there. Lapis just turns on everyone.
Okay,
Ends up
I
with
did
Jasper.
want to like mention that I like that because the original gem cast is like kind of out of commission for most of this movie. I like that they gave Bismuth, Lapis, and Peridot something to do. Like
Definitely, and I
make
like
plot.
that they finally gave Bismuth a song too. She hadn't gotten one yet, and she
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, she had a great song too.
I didn't
I
know
want to
how
say that.
Orange is the New Black Lady would sound.
Yeah,
singing,
I was thinking that too. I was like, go you crazy eyes.
but
Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
right. That's her
wait.
same voice actor.
I didn't know
And
that.
then Smokey Quartz is the other chick from that show. So apparently Rebecca just really likes that show.
probably.
Yeah,
But
There's just she's really good at picking her cast for.
Dude,
for
I thought
characters.
whoever was Spinel was
Sarah
phenomenal.
Stiles. I looked it up. Her name's Sarah
Holy
Stiles.
shit, man.
I think her. I don't want to say anything about what her most notable thing is because I'm not familiar with like musical stuff. But the one that I recognized on there was that she was like a replacement actor for some productions of Avenue Q, where she played like Kate Monster. So that was like the most notable one to me.
I thought at first you were going to say she's notable for being in The Replacements. I'm going to be like, that's a big pull.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a throwback.
Jeez.
That's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I said to him, I was like, the person who voices Pearl is such a phenomenal singer. Like,
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
in that episode where she's like singing in her tuxedo, you know.
Oh, when they go to the city.
Holy
Oh, it's
shit.
over, isn't it? Yeah.
I
Mr.
cried
Greg.
so hard. That was such a great piece of animation history. Like,
No, I mean that whole episode was basically just a reason to get that song out there. And
Yeah.
actually that whole episode is just basically practice for this
musical.
movie. That was
Yeah.
I think they really went on record as
Well,
saying
yeah,
that.
because they marketed that
advertised
episode
it.
as
Yeah,
a musical.
Yeah, they
Um,
were talking about how, let's see how many songs we can fit into an 11-minute episode. And from there,
Right.
let's see how we can
But
spread
see,
those
like-
across an hour-and-a-half movie.
this is where I'm such a big fan of musicals, because in the scene where Spinel is singing about how Pink Diamond left her there is so emotional. Like, you can hear it in the voice, you can hear it in the music and the tone of the instruments. Like, and I just feel like it was just really well done in song. Like, I love musicals. Like, and so I just think I don't know. I like how they did it.
No, I agree. It was a very emotional song. It was very, and yeah, they did a good job putting the emotions in the music,
hmm
or just as a whole.
I just want to say I love, but I also hate the fact that almost immediately after the movie aired, there was already an edit with Toy Story 2's.
Yeah.
Thank you for that trauma, Izzy. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Adam, were you the one who posted it in the server?
I did.
And I was like, immediately, just get out.
I'm still
Banned
upset.
from the
No.
server.
I'm still upset nobody's made an edit of Greg Universe saying the S word.
Oh,
No, I did see someone
actually.
did make that edit. I did see that one.
Saber
Oh,
did that.
finally. No,
I can get you the link.
I saw Saber's. I saw Saber do his own, but I mean, like, just like a real quick edit of holy sh, and then just splicing it there.
I didn't catch that. Was that
Yeah,
something
he
you
totally
missed
he
at all?
almost said shit.
I didn't catch that at all.
He like cuts himself off.
That's why everyone keeps posting. Let Greg say shit.
Let
It's like
Greg
the
say
campaign.
shit.
Let Pearl say
Let
fuck.
Pearl say fuck and let Greg say shit.
It's Shitgate.
Wasn't okay. It's an older post, but but it's on topic with this. Y'all ever see this one post where someone doing a Pearl voice like mouth along to what she was telling Steven about with Rose? It was the episode where they go to the battlefield and like she's talking about rose quartz and like they mouth along and her lip sync almost looks like she's saying the F word. It's like, yeah, you should have been there. It was fucking amazing. Something like that.
So, an edit I want to see so far that I have not seen yet is the very end of the movie when they're in the tuxedo gear on stage. No one has done an edit for the Family Guy intro yet, and I am very disappointed. I'm very upset and disappointed. No one has done that.
We can continue on with nobody doing that.
I'd rather that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that not happening.
I want to see it happen. Please, someone out there, make the Family Guy intro edit with the ending of the movie. Please.
I would try.
I'd rather not.
So I just want to mention one thing real quick that I really hit my nostalgia boner. I do, like week before this movie came out, Toonami themselves actually put their own trailer together for this, and it was just like Tom sitting in his ship and it was like, we miss talking about kids cartoon. We just love Steven so much we made a trailer. Here you go.
It was really so cool. So cool of them.
I like it, and it's like even edited in like their commercial style. So I thought it was like a nice change of pace for them to like advertise something for Cartoon Network rather than Adult Swim. Or
I think it's such an important show though for our generation and kids, and because like we adults watch it and enjoy it, and I think for something that adults can enjoy on a grown-up level in the same way that kids will watch it and feel something on their level, I think is really great. I feel like if I had a show like this when I was a kid, I don't know. I think it shows that like it's okay to cry. Like guys can cry. It's okay to have a lot of strong women in your life who are stronger than you. Like,
I agree.
And it's just I don't know. Steven is such an important character, I think, because he's such a sensitive young man and very loving, very accepting of everything around him, and he's like accepting of the fact that he needs to grow and change. And I just think he's such a good character. And I know a lot of people were like, Rebecca calls herself a feminist, but she makes her main character a boy. And I'm just like, that's not the point.
Steven's like the most feminine man I've ever seen.
Steven is the most effeminate male character I've seen in a long time.
Dude, he's so confident in his
until She-Ra, but that's beside the point.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I do kind of want to take back something I said earlier. I do think that a lot of the whole resetting everybody stuff was a little, it's not my own cup of tea, but I did kind of enjoy Steven's whole thing. Because at least for Steven, he all he was losing is his powers. He wasn't losing his memory. So he wasn't like walking around with amnesia or anything. So I like
oh my God, we wouldn't have a movie. They would be done.
Back to baby Steven.
Right. But I like that it reset him back to season 1 without fully doing it. And I like that he eventually got to the point where he realized the last missing part of getting his powers back was like
change.
Yeah. He has the capacity to change. And that's when
it's okay to change.
It's okay to change. Like yeah. So I thought that whole realization at the end was really
I think like that was one of the big themes was that there was like that episode where he's like stuck in a growth spurt, like he couldn't grow because I think he was so stuck in not changing who he was because he was so stuck in Rose Quartz's shadow that when he finally accepted himself and his ability to change and be who he wants to be, then he had his growth spurt.
Right.
The ability to change is a really integral part of Steven because that was really the catalyst for Rose deciding to give up her physical form to give birth to Steven. Is that there's literally an episode where she's like talking about how she adores humans' ability to change. So that was really the whole reason for his existence in the first place.
Yeah.
He's very he's like a very bittersweet character,
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, you're like, That was awesome of Rose Quartz. She sacrificed herself, probably the first selfless thing she's really done, to give birth to Steven. Yet she dumped all of her
Drama.
issues,
all of her baggage,
shit on him, which is kind of shitty.
And that's a horrible thing to drop on like a kid.
Yeah.
But she also had the confidence that he would be able to accomplish what she couldn't.
Yeah, for me, the whole thing with the change that I really liked was the idea that Steven has gotten so complacent in these 2 years with his happily ever after that is the only thing he can think of right now is getting that happily ever after back, making things perfect again. You know,
he got to a point where he's happy and he wants to remain stagnant at that point.
Yeah, he's like, great, it's great, everything's great.
He's stagnated because that's the only thing on his mind.
Yeah.
Which shows near the end when Spinel sort of turns on them again because he's like, oh yeah, now that she's called it off, we can all go back to having a normal life. And he didn't really think it through that, hey, Spinel is still
in
here.
Spinel's defense was a real dick thing to say.
Right after she poured her soul out to him, How would
you say that for plot convenience only? Like, that's the only reason he would say something like that.
Spinel is probably the most justified character in this entire movie, even though,
he wasn't a dick like that to Lapis, like when Lapis was having a crisis.
Well, I think it's what they were saying is that like Steven was so obsessed with getting back to this we want this level of normalcy, and now that the machine's been turned off, we can get back to that, and it's all like. Yeah, he pretty much flat out tells Spinel, "It's like, yeah, we just need you to turn it off because we didn't know how."
You used me for plot development.
That wasn't nice.
There were a couple of little things like that I thought seemed a little out of character, and maybe you guys can help shine some light on it. I did not really think Pink Diamond leaving her there like that. I feel very contradictory towards Pink Diamond because there are episodes and scenes where everyone's like, oh, she loved all living things. She was very caring, compassionate. She went out of her way to help things. And like the pebbles were like that we just saw in the when he goes back to Homeworld, like, oh my God, it's Pink. She's so nice to us. She loves us, and all this stuff. And she loved Earth so much in the life there that she blah, blah, blah. So I guess to me, it's I'm a little confused about Pink Diamond's character as a whole. That on the one hand, she just ditches this bitch. And on the other hand, she is very empathetic. I don't know. Can you help me?
My takeaway, at least from their relationship, is that Spinel is saying that Pink wants so bad, she wants a colony. That's the number one thing that she wants. But when they're showing that Pink is talking to the other diamonds and they're gonna be bequeathing her own colony, Spinel is still acting all goofy and trying to play, and Pink is trying to try to be a little bit of an adult, try to play it straight because it's it's a big deal for her to get her own colony, but Spinel's in the background still being a goofball. So I think at least to me, it's still really shitty what she did, but it's still, to me, it says that Rose or Pink left her behind because it's Spinel's not going to take this seriously. She's just going to mess around and goof off while Pink is trying to establish this new colony. I don't know whether that means maybe she had the intention of coming back to get her at some point because Pink tells her to stay here or whatever, I'll be back. But
then the war happened.
Then the war happened, so it's she never got the opportunity to go back.
Well, but she decided to make that happen. Pink made the war happen. She could have gotten Spinel and been like, "Hey, we're gonna do this shit."
I don't know. I get you though.
I understand it's just a TV movie, and I shouldn't be it's obviously this movie is a standalone thing.
No, well, I wouldn't say that. I think this is very integral to the overall plot.
Because Spinel is a movie character. You could watch the rest of the show and never ever ever know about Spinel.
Well,
totally fine.
We're like we said earlier. you can watch till the end of last season and just stop.
Yeah.
Probably fine. I mean, this movie isn't. It's more like shedding some light on some backstory stuff. It's not wholly necessary to the overall plot.
I wish they would have on backstory stuff. You know what I mean? Like just a little bit more explanation of things.
Yeah.
Well, what I was gonna say was that like this movie still exists within canon.
Yeah.
Is basically what I was gonna say.
Right, yeah, because the movie picks up right where the last season left off, albeit like a 2-year time skip.
But I guess my way of looking at like the Pokemon movies. There's never a connection between the Pokemon movies and then the show. Where Ash is like, wow, I've never seen a Dragonite, and then he sees a fucking Dragonite. Like,
I don't know if that connection is wholly.
My connection was gonna be like Dragon Ball, because Dragon Ball movies are all that's a canon of its own.
Yeah,
those are all filler movies.
So is this like that?
No, I would say that this is integral.
This is a continuation.
This is a continuation. Like this, I would say this is almost like season 5.5.
I would say that when we get that new season, that you will definitely have to have watched the movie to understand some of the stuff.
Unless your theory about them
thing.
Like the new season is all the time in between the movie and the last season.
Or if they do that, yeah.
But yeah, I do think in some way, whether they go backwards or they go forwards from where this movie is, I do think that this is integral to the overall plot.
Like I guess my theory is like, did Cartoon Network come up to Rebecca Sugar and say, hey, Steven Universe is popular and it's going to get us money, make a movie? You know what I mean? And so she was like, okay, and then they all just made this character for the movie.
I honestly, I don't work with Cartoon Network. I don't work with Rebecca, so I can only speculate.
You know what? I think. Sorry.
Go on. I think. My guess is that this was intentional. I think Rebecca has plotted out so many things ahead of time that she, whether or not like this story was planned ahead or not,
like they kept it in her back pocket just in case there was ever an opportunity to have this other stuff.
Yeah, so I almost wonder if Rebecca requested the movie, like, hey, we're at a point in our plot where we want to tell this story, but it requires a longer runtime. Is that something we could have? So I don't know if it was Rebecca's choice, if it was Network's choice that like we want to make a Steven Universe TV movie. But I do think that because this picks up right where the last season let off, I do think that this is I don't want to say necessary viewing, because like I keep saying, you can stop at the last season and be fine. But it all really depends on where this next season is going to go. Whether or not how closely this is required to the overall plot.
I definitely think it was her choice for all of this stuff, but I do remember a interview a couple of years ago. I think it was before season 4 even premiered, how she was talking about how they had written the last episode, they know what they're gonna do, and that she's excited to continue after that because the end of season 5 writes the entire story into a corner. So she wants to see how they continue from there, since it's finally coming to an end with, you could basically say the Pink Diamond series. I feel like this whole movie is like one final exit.
Bow.
For Steven having to deal with his mom's shit and finally like make things right.
Yeah, so he was in the movie. He was like, "I can't believe I still have to deal with this shit." Like,
yeah, and that's what he was talking about in the beginning of the song, and with all the change, and that's why he wasn't growing up like you were saying, because he was like, "Hey, I used to live in my mother's shadow. I never knew if I would ever get out of that, because people always talked about her whenever I was around, and I felt like I could never separate myself from her."
I mean, the Diamonds are still doing that at the beginning of this movie, when they're still referring to her as Pink, even though I'm pretty sure by the end of the last season we were past that. But
they know that she's not her, but that they were her.
She isn't.
Yeah,
they're just lonely.
They're just really lonely and want to smother something. They're like they're basically like 3 giant aunts.
Yeah.
What do you guys think though about like what I said though about how contradictory Pink Diamond's character is? Like I always feel like they praise her as this compassionate being. so unlike all the other gems.
I think also just because they put her on such a giant pedestal that, like, of course they're going to sort of like build her up as being this perfect being. And I mean, we've seen that that's not true, like, multiple times. So I could definitely, the events that happen to this movie, I see as being completely possible within Pink Diamond's character.
Yeah,
I feel like it's not contradictory.
I don't think it's contradictory to what we've been presented with so far, because the entirety of the show has been basically leading you to believe that starts with like, oh, Rose / Pink Diamond was this wonderful, amazing person, and like, you know, the fact that she died in the war was a travesty. But you slowly learn over the course of the show that it's like, no, she's pretty flawed herself and did some really horrible things. And so I think just adding this to the pile of like, yeah, Steven, your mom may be a total mega bitch. Maybe not fully intentionally so, but you know.
Because I mean, we are shown that she was horribly abused. I mean,
do you know what Rose is to this show? Does anyone here watch Twin Peaks?
No, I have not.
I need to.
Okay. Well, I was going to compare that, not exactly accurate, like, but Rose Quartz / Pink Diamond's relation, like, sort of the way that she's put up on this pedestal, but she had like all this other stuff that was going on like under the surface with her, is it's very much alike. Like the whole premise of Twin Peaks is that the Sarah Palmer, like, she dies at the very beginning of the show, and then but she's like this homecoming queen, and she's got like, you know, everyone has only good things to say about her. But then as the show goes on, and there's a whole movie about it too, just kind of gets like under the seedy underbelly, like all this trauma that she's experienced and all this like, so it's very much exactly.
Also, I think if I hear Pearl say "it can't be" one more time, I'm gonna fucking punch a wall. Because it can be, and it has been,
and it is.
It is.
It be.
She has been saying that shit since the first season, and it is, and it always will be. Like anytime a new gem shows up, she's like, "It can't be." It is.
It can't really be her. Like, it's like, and I hate that Steven even turns to her, like, "Can you?" She is, and she like gets to that point.
I'm like, at this point, skip the "it can't be" and immediately go into encyclopedia mode.
I think, at this point, enough shit has happened that I think you should just stop being surprised when things happen.
The second a gem lands down, just immediately like, this is so and so from so and so and blah.
There you go.
To be fair, there was a 2-year time skip where nothing was going on.
Yes.
Like they say, Amethyst was getting rusty. You know, Pearl had probably forgotten about all this other stuff too. Like, you know, kind of a little slack. Like,
yeah, kind of a little slack. But
I ain't cutting Pearl no slack.
She's supposed to be all smart and shit, and
she's supposed to be a smart one.
She's very smart. She tells you all about the gems in the movie.
Here's the thing. Do you really want Pearl to become an exposition dump every time someone new comes on screen?
Not really.
Really the only person we have for that, though.
I'd rather she give us an exposition dump 2/3 into the movie.
She held back on her exposition for 5
That's what her
seasons.
popular catchphrase
I think what
comes
Melody's
into play.
really getting at is she wants... not so much that she wants Pearl to become an info dump, but she wants her to stop being so shocked by everything.
Well, yeah, that's
crazy
real.
Happens. It's
fucking
like,
started.
I just wanted to roll for once. I want to roll her eyes and like, God, this shit again.
Just be like, again.
Get 5 minutes.
To be fair to Pearl, she probably thought it couldn't be Spinel because she also knew that she was waiting for over 6,000 years, which that's pretty shitty on Pearl's part as well.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that necessarily.
Like all this horrible shit.
I don't think. Pearl probably didn't know about Spinel waiting for over 6,000 years.
No, because that's exactly. Pearl has a line in the movie that says, "I'm sure something must have been going on in the 6,000 years." So like,
yeah.
And she's more alluding to the fact that like that was right when the rebellion started, not so much that she knew that Spinel was stuck in the garden there. I think that was totally unrelated. Like I don't think that she knew about it at all either. Like she just completely forgot like that Spinel even existed. Like there's just all this other shit going on. Like,
guys, I got other stuff to do.
Yeah,
couldn't have ever just been like, they couldn't have been just like sitting around one day drinking coffee and been like,
Oh shit, Spinel's in the garden.
Oh, shit.
It's just like a Home Alone thing. It's like we left Spinel in the garden.
Oh, no.
And she's only 20. And she's only 6,000 years old.
They miscounted.
Someone needs to fan animate that right
My
now.
other question
She's
was
got the
this.
bottle of aftershave.
My other question was this. If she saw the announcement that Steven made, why didn't she see any other announcements? Why didn't she see the announcement that Pink Diamond was shattered? Why didn't she see any of that?
Were
Well,
there?
it wasn't broadcasted.
Yeah. This is
Why wouldn't it have been broadcasted? All the gems knew Pink Diamond was shattered.
That is a very good question.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because I was like, if she is in that garden and she sees the broadcast, okay, Pink Diamond is shattered, then she could have been like, well, fuck, I guess I better get out of here.
She was
You know?
probably during every single broadcast that happened between the time that she stood there and the time that she saw the Steven broadcast. Like anytime the screen popped up and did something, she was like too busy like focusing on the butterflies in the garden.
Maybe, yeah.
You know what? I think that might have been it. She just was
Perhaps.
too distracted by something else.
That's
Or
been
is
my
one of those,
biggest
like-
question.
Yeah,
It was
I'm not
probably
sure.
one of those Looney Tune things where like the screen pops up, she turns, and then it just goes away.
It's only there when she's not
Oh my
looking.
god.
that would be very, very in I don't know.
In
It, very,
character.
very. I don't know. In character, I'd say it's very thematic for Spinel. That'd be very.
Just because
thematic.
the type of
Yeah.
character she is, that would fit.
Well, she wouldn't
I
have
don't like that we're
heard it.
making light of this though. She has a very tragic backstory. Damn it, she made
It's
me cry.
true. Like, as goofy as Spinel is, I do think like her whole backstory of getting abandoned and like,
Yeah.
all that shit. I do think. I do think that.
cried.
Yeah, I'm a heartless monster. Did not cry, but I do
I
think that
nearly
was-
cried.
I think it was well written, and I think
Tears fell from my eyes.
I think her anger is justified. Put it
Like
that
I
way.
Like I said, she's the most justified of all of
Yeah.
the gems so far.
I guess
Yeah.
I just don't understand how Steven was able to eradicate the entire Diamond Republic and she had just now heard about it. Like I just don't find that plausible in a world of gem people. But
I don't
like
know.
I
I don't
just
know.
Plot.
that bugs me. That's my biggest thing.
Maybe every time the screen turned on, she read the script.
It was probably like one
Not
of
yet. Not yet.
It was probably one of the first like worldwide broadcasts they'd done in like thousands of years. They probably had other broadcasts, but that was probably like just secluded to Homeworld and
Maybe.
like not other planets and stuff.
Potentially.
Yeah, probably. I also feel like maybe the whole maybe it was only broadcast to Homeworld and then it just spread through word of mouth.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know. Maybe I'm probably just overthinking it, but
Yeah, don't think about it.
So yeah, I think overall, I think in terms of this being a Steven Universe movie, there's plenty I think they could have done better. Like I said, I'm not big on the amnesiac parts of this movie, but I think the parts with Spinel and her backstory and her revenge plot, I think, kind of saves this movie.
I think Spinel as a whole just saves this movie because she's just the best character in the movie.
Even though it is revealed that Pink Diamond Rose is the real villain of Steven Universe, Spinel made a good movie villain, and in Steven Universe fashion becomes a good guy by the end. So there you go.
I mean, I liked it. I do want to watch. I wanted to watch it again before we recorded, but we ran out of time.
I was watching it before, but then I was like, because I was like, oh, I got till 10:30. Oh wait, 10:30 Eastern is 9:30 where I'm at. So I had to cut off at like the last 20 minutes.
Time zones
Everyone
are
luckily
bitch.
waited for me to rewatch it before we recorded, so I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
That's all good.
Well, we ourselves were watching the show, or just kind of recapping on the White Diamond stuff.
Right.
I gotta say, I don't know if we're wrapping up, but
Yeah.
I just want to conclude by saying I have never been so wholly satisfied with a show, and I don't know how long.
Honestly, overall, I feel like Steven Universe as a whole show, it was really bogged down by a lot of things, namely a lot of filler episodes and the whole time schedule it was dealing with the whole Steven bombs
All
and
the
whatnot.
hiatuses, yeah.
All the hiatuses. But once you see it all in a row, like binge watch it like all in a row, it is so much better than like
It's
it
very
has any.
tight, very clean,
Well,
very.
It was kind of funny because
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
sorry, our mic fell over. It was funny because I guess Cartoon Network's been doing like airing every Steven Universe episode for the last couple days, and it's been funny watching Ian Cordy tweeting out like, "Oh my god, it's so strange watching all these episodes like because we had all these gaps in between episodes. It's just being able to watch these episodes straight through and how they flow together now."
Yeah.
Um,
They're just a great crew. I mean, just a great crew of people working together.
Oh yeah.
Genuine love for the characters and the story. But I even watching these last few episodes, I gotta say, man, everyone was always like, what would happen if we took the gem out of Steven? And then they fucking did it.
Yeah.
And then it was so good. And then they saved all the corrupted gems. They just closed all these storylines. Oh, I'm just so satisfied.
I'm just happy that Steven Universe got a satisfying, good ending that wraps everything up.
Because I hated the Adventure Time ending. I thought it was such a blowhole.
I stopped watching Adventure Time like season 6.
So I was
hated
gonna say
the regular show ending was such a fucking blowhole. Like I just was so disappointed lately in show endings. Like
I was gonna say, like, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm just hoping KO gets a good
KO deserves a good ending. Damn it.
I want to have hope. Honestly, this is slightly on topic, but the fact that the last episode of OKKO is called "Thank You for Watching the Show" makes me really emotional, and the episode hasn't even started yet.
I think it airs in a couple days. So
it airs Friday
on Thursday, I think. Thursday or Friday.
On Thursday?
Yeah, the last 2 episodes are gonna air.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
I gotta marathon through the episodes I've missed. I gotta get on it.
I feel like you just told me that they had announced the ending. I thought they were still gonna be working on it.
Last I heard, they were gonna end it in December, but then I saw something else. It's like, nope, they're airing on like September 6th.
Wow, they fucking got those out fast.
Yep. So
Jesus.
They wanted to just get the show done at this point.
Yeah. Ian's back working on Steven Universe again.
I was even just disappointed with the Infinity Train show. Like
I still haven't watched Infinity Train.
I haven't seen anything of Infinity Train past episode 1, but from what I've heard of it, it's
I was pretty disappointed, I'm not gonna lie.
I enjoyed Infinity Train. I definitely don't think it's as good as Over the Garden Wall, but there was still a lot of really cool stuff that they did, and I'm excited to see how they work it as an anthology series.
Yeah.
So are they making it a full series?
Yes, it is.
Because it was just this 5-episode miniseries. Was that just like a introduction or something?
Yeah, it seems to be more of like an anthology series where each season focuses on a different character. Like going through the train and like doing all this stuff.
Interesting.
Quickly wrapping up my feelings about Steven Universe.
Sorry.
I'm definitely glad that the show ended really strongly. I'm very happy that so far the show never suffered like a seasonal rot like Adventure Time. I myself rewatching regular show, haven't gone to the finale yet, but I definitely really liked how that was handled. But
regular show?
Yeah, watching this movie made me realize that I really, really miss when TV movies used to be in theaters. Like, I think Cartoon Network.
I think they limited release. I think they limited release.
Didn't really do a lot.
They didn't do a limited release. It was more like when they did with the regular shows movie, where they had like a premiere for like fans.
They had like a special screening in LA.
Yeah.
But,
I would have loved to have gone to that. Same thing. Like they announced it like a day before it happened. Same with the they did a premiere for Zim like in Santa Ana, and like they only announced it like a couple days before it happened, and like of course it all sold out like quick as hell. I would have loved to have gone to both.
I live in Arkansas. I can't go to cool stuff like that.
Ohio,
yeah.
But yeah,
it's unfortunate.
Go see cool shit.
No, you're talking about. I miss movies in theaters, and we're just like, yeah, us too.
I was talking about how I would have loved if they did like a Fathom event for not just Steven Universe, but like because these Fathom events can be like one day, or like, you know, even do a Ghibli Fest thing where you play like a bunch of Cartoon Network movies. Like, I get it. Cartoon Network movies released theatrically never do well. Like Powerpuff Girls didn't do well. Teen Titans Go did okay.
Oh yeah, I don't know what that was.
That movie was
Nickelodeon was like on the movie train.
Yeah, Nickelodeon always had hit after hit. Rugrats, SpongeBob.
The reason Cartoon Network started doing TV movies is because Powerpuff Girls did so bad at the theaters that they we're not doing this again. Because it just wasn't financially viable for them.
Yeah.
And Teen Titans Go is a DC project, so it's not Cartoon Network owned. So it's like they
technically
do
counts as a Cartoon Network movie.
It technically
technically
does, but I don't think in the entire movie there was any kind of signifying this is a Cartoon Network venture. So that's just all DC. So DC can do whatever the fuck they want.
I mean, it's still under Turner and Warner, so it's still very much the same.
Isn't it crazy that we live in a world where you have shows like Steven Universe and Teen Titans Go on at the same time?
Yeah, they can play back to back.
It's a treat.
Except it's not played back to back. They play more like 8 hours of Teen Titans Go and then 11 minutes of Steven Universe and then 8 more hours of Teen Titans Go. That's more like it.
I don't even hate Teen Titans Go as much as I used to anymore, and I still think it's overplayed.
Yeah.
Same. I definitely think they've been getting better with the scheduling. I don't think Teen Titans Go is on as much as it used to be.
Dude, it's constant. Maybe we should wrap up first.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anyways, is it cool if I can wrap up my thing?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So at the end, I nearly dropped this show multiple times because there were just so many bits where it's like nothing's going on. But when things finally get going on, I was this is where finally the potential of the show is starting to show itself. And this movie and the last arc with the whole on Homeworld, that was the show I wanted to see from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that the Crewniverse managed to get to that point. And overall, this Steven Universe this is going to be one of those shows that people will talk about for a very long time.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be one of those kind of talked about shows.
I think it's just done a lot for people. I mean, it talks about,
and I mean, it's one of the most. It's a really important show. On top of that,
yeah, it talks about same-sex love, interchanging sexualities.
Just a lot of heavy topics, but explained
trauma
simply, but not condescendingly, so that kids can kind of get the gist of it.
It's just very symbolic of real world issues.
Yeah,
and in a way, it's kind of helped. It's kind of opened the door in a way to other cartoons tackling those issues.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree. I think a lot of shows are trying to mimic that now because it's like Infinity Train right off the bat was divorce, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. But overall, Steven Universe, this show's fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't really have much else to say.
If you enjoy the series, then you will enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
Lapis and Peridot are still the best characters in the show, though. That's undeniable.
I just love that those them and Bismuth are just gal pals now, and they just hang out all the time.
They're the best, Chris. They're like you know how there was the Teen Titans, and then there's the Teen Titans East. They're like the Crystal Gems.
The Titans East of Steve.
Oh my
god!
No,
they're the new Crystal Gems. They have a team name. It's the new Crystal Gems. Connie's a part of it too.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for being here today, and thank you everyone out there for listening. And in the comments, make sure you tell us what you thought of the movie, and what you think of where Steven Universe is and where it's heading and all that good stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this talk about the Steven Universe movie, and we will catch you all again next week.
Yay!
Hey, bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Eat your vegetables.
Thanks for listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with the show. Join our Discord to chat with us, and subscribe to our Patreon for some cool bonuses. Links are in the description. We'll see you next time.